and good evening. Welcome to the Sunday night episode of The Canadians Take Over SPTV.
Woohoo!
We have two East Coasters here with me and myself, of course, a West Coaster for life. Thank you very much, you two. Just to introduce both of you, Gabrielle, of course, everyone knows Escaping the Cultiverse A is your YouTube channel. And you and I spent a bunch of time on staff together, and we're very good friends now, despite that. And of course, the new addition to taking Scientology down in Toronto, Kim MacNeil, aka Scientology is My Ruin. Thank you very much for joining me. How are you two tonight?
Very good.
We're good.
Cool. Before we get started, I want to make sure that everybody is subscribed to your channels. And so here we have Kim's, yours is at Scientology _ is my ruin. And Gabrielle, of course, Escaping the Cultiverse A. So do make sure that you pop over to their channels and consider watching on their channel this live. I guess, Kim, we're not streaming to yours right now, but we'll get that set up for you. But it is important to get some watch hours. So please do pop over there. Kim, yesterday you did something pretty darn special.
Yeah, I didn't anticipate that. I didn't.
I know. And I will be honest with you. I'll be very open and transparent with you. When I was going through setup for this live tonight, after watching your content, and of course I went down to my local org today too, and so I had some emotional connection there. When I was done looking through your content, I went downstairs and I cried with my wife, pretty heavily. It was very moving. I mean, partially, of course, obviously your emotional connection with this situation is palpable in your videos, but also I felt tears of happiness for you because you, like I say in my thumbnail, really found your voice, and I'm very proud of you.
It's it was an immense amount of relief and release, and I was shaking, and I continued to shake on into the evening when I got home.
Yes, well,
so
it came through for sure. So I'm very proud of you, and I look forward to more from you.
I don't know if it'll be quite as visceral as that was, being a first occasion for that, to confront that, but I think I will approach it differently for a second and future time. Because but it felt good to like lay in, and I felt safe in numbers there, right?
Yeah.
There were 6 of us. So
that's an amazing number. That's great.
Yeah.
Michelle, Leanne, Marty, Ed, and I'm forgetting somebody.
Carrie
Ann, yes.
Yeah.
And myself, and that was great.
That's amazing, and you did such a good job. Let's start off right off the bat here. What would you say is your highlight of your audit?
I was surprised that everybody. I thought there'd be. The highlight was not that there wasn't another former kid in Scientology or former person, but that so many people are willing to come out who've never been in. That was so heartwarming, just to meet these people. My husband's never in, and these ladies and Marty never in. Like, they've had a personality test 30 years ago or something, but never in. And what is how much they understood me. Yeah. They get it. That's the thing about the never ends and this outside of Scientology world, is they get it. They really get it. So that was, I think, as much as it just yelling like that, and not yelling, I wasn't screaming, I was projecting my voice.
That's a good way to say it.
I'm not
screaming, officer. I'm projecting my voice.
Yeah. Well, no, because they weren't coming close enough for us to really engage. I mean, I wouldn't yell in their face if they were a foot away from me.
Yeah.
But they were kind of hiding in the parking lot, in their cars sometimes. So.
Well, and that was interesting. So those guys that were in their cars,
I like this one.
Were they staff members or public, do you think?
One guy had to be staff member. The guy that was in the driver's seat, he was staff, because Leanne actually thought he was one of us ready to protest and walked up to the car just before we arrived. And
Oops.
he gave her some nonsense story about how, oh, I know, are you here for the protest today? And he's going, what protest? And he was trying to then she kind of figured it out. And then she said, well, are you a Scientologist? Finally, she clued in that, okay, maybe this guy's not one of us. He's one of them. And he tried to tell her that this kind of thing hasn't happened. In the 30 years he's been in Scientology, nothing like this has ever happened.
Liar.
Where was he in 2008?
Exactly. I'm going, and this particular location, maybe, because they've only been 3 or 4 years at that location.
Yeah.
But the Yonge Street location was frequent, at least for a good year, that Anonymous was at them regularly. So,
yeah.
So anyway,
same with Vancouver.
Yeah, it's not a very good location, so it's too bad for them. So, but yeah, but the highlight was meeting those nice people. That really was. Yeah.
That's awesome. I had many highlights of mine today, which we're going to go over tomorrow. But I will definitely concur with you having someone a never in, because today I had Nathaniel join me,
nice
who
fella.
we have been conversing back and forth on some things. He's got an interesting connection to Scientology, which we're hoping to go over in a live at some point. But it was really cool to have someone there, because the other 2 times I was there, I was all alone. And it's kind of like, you feel like there's so much attention put on you that it gets a little bit unnerving, but it was pretty cool. And I would like also to, before we carry on, I'd like to thank my lovely wife for modding for me tonight, for us tonight. And she's also starring comments. So if you guys have any questions or comments, please pop them in a chat. She's going to keep an eye on them. And at the end of the chat, we'll take them up if that works for you guys.
You bet.
Cool. Now, Gabrielle.
Yes, my dear.
You had a few moments that you thought were quite notable in her live.
Well, quite frankly, I would have liked to play the whole thing again, but because it was all such a highlight, and I was rooting you on.
I know.
Did you see my text?
She kept texting me. You guys are, and I won't say it, fantastic.
Well, so that's where I was kind of confused, because I was looking, I was like, she's not live. How is she getting messages from Gabrielle? And you're just sitting there interrupting her.
Yeah. And all the sections every section, like 2 or 3 sections, she texted me. So it would upload and then I'd get a text.
It was great. I loved every minute of it. I have a little bit of, what is it called? Fear of missing out. Not real fear, but FOMO. I'm really
FOMO?
missing. FOMO. I really, it's like, I mean, Cambridge is the closest one to me, but it seems so dead.
Well, and Cambridge is badly laid out for auditing. Like, you can't get anywhere near the front door without trespassing, right? So,
right.
Like, I know Matt went on briefly, but then just left, and I don't think anyone approached him. But it's pretty difficult, and it's in such a shitty area. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, it's beautiful country.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But
yeah,
it used to be a resort apparently. So.
Well, you're thinking of the AO, right?
We're thinking of Cambridge, the
Cambridge org, the ideal org, which doesn't seem like an ideal org. It's just nutty to me.
It's ugly.
Okay, so I'm thinking of 2 different areas.
Yeah, you're thinking of the one in the old resort there by Orangeville. I forget the name of the town is now.
Okay, so why do we have an ideal org in Cambridge and no ideal org in Toronto? What the hell happened?
That's the question for David Miscavige, I think.
Interesting.
It's very strange.
Yeah. So,
yeah, because that looks like a suburban church when I saw it online. The one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and didn't they offer it out to like genuine Sunday service to a genuine Christian denomination?
Yeah.
I read that.
I think they rent it out.
Interesting.
Which is weird.
Just a background, that was something that was all part of the Ideal Org project that, this is Miscavige's brainchild, right?
Yeah.
So his idea was to have these big, huge organizations. The Division 6, the public areas were supposed to be like the largest part. So they could have like community meetings in there and all that other kind of BS, right? So that's one of the reasons why they are so big. And yeah, I won't get
I'm
into all
just
the details
confused
of
because
it.
the Toronto location, even though it's a derelict building at the moment, it was the best body routing place.
Oh, the
It was as
traffic
good
there, it's
as
in the middle of everything. Yeah.
good as the LA testing center was.
Yeah.
Was. But yeah, because I think the Toronto building on Yonge Street was actually handpicked by LRH himself as like a prime location.
Yeah, because it had
So
good numbers. When I was in Scientology, even in the old org, the one on Avenue Road, the 2nd Avenue Road location, because I found out there was a further one like nearby, but so in 73, that one, it was busy. It was like a bunker of a building, but it was busy and noisy. Yeah. And then that Yonge Street one, after the fire, they had a temporary place. And then after they've got that Yonge Street one. It wasn't a pretty building. It's nothing particularly attractive about it, but it was very functional.
Very central.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we do have a few highlighted points from one of your videos that I would like to share with everyone. And what we'll do is we'll play the video and then maybe we'll just do a little bit of commentary on it kind of at the end. And, you can give us your thoughts on it.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and share the screen. I think the audio should play. So this song, I'll set it up. This is one very powerful one.
I'm going to look at my computer because it's a bigger picture.
Yeah, sure. No worries.
Than my phone. Okay.
Yeah. And then so this one was pretty powerful, I think, to me, because it you start describing a Scientology term called blowing charge. So here we go.
And actually love him dearly.
Only for Kim.
So,
give it to you
but,
anytime you want.
Yeah, it's been an interesting experience, this visit here today. It's good processing. It's very cathartic. I'm blowing off charge, as the Scientologists like to call it. So, yeah. It's been amazing.
So that was the first clip. Yeah. So I really like that. It's almost bringing back power over that term. Obviously it is a very Scientological term, but yeah. What were your thoughts? What was going through your head there?
I first of all, I didn't expect to just jump into it so easily.
Naturally.
It's just what, yeah. Now, I'm not a shy person overall. Every job I've ever had was always working with the public. So it's not that I'm shy. I can even speak in public. I don't have, but I don't know why that Scientology carried such a boogeyman feeling in me, like that fearful little kid with something under the bed or something in the closet. Like it just, and it kind of dissipated almost immediately once I started yelling.
Yeah. It is. It's a huge release.
Sorry?
Yes. It's a huge release. It's all,
yeah.
I mean, how many years ago did all of that happen? And you were so young.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't surprise me. I get visceral reactions when I watch Jeff in front of my old org.
So did the staff.
I think I buried so much. I literally put Scientology, that's part of the past. My mother and the complication with her in it, that was swinging, the disconnection from her. But I had previous counseling for other things, and Scientology wasn't a secret in these counseling, but it was sort of an afterthought. So, and I didn't give it much weight. If it was serious enough, we would have discussed it. But in the weight of other things that were happening, Scientology seemed incidental. So, but I think since my mom died and going through her stuff, it really kind of made me realize, like, I still have not shed a tear for her. And that is interesting to me. So, but going through her apartment struck me as to, like, she wasn't a good Scientologist. Like, like she had long breaks of disconnection from the church, not in a bad way, just
she just left.
No money, can't go, right? had always had some sort of connection with Scientology, but not as you would expect to be on course or getting counseling, right? So,
Right.
you know, and she had no trouble taking, as a senior citizen in particular, taking help from Salvation Army or other, you know, the food bank, because she was on a very limited income and she was living in subsidized housing for senior citizens. So she had no problem taking from other, you know, spiritual organizations, you know, and then still what's fascinating is I found stuff that she had donated. She donated money, small amounts, like $50, $100,
Mm-hmm.
which, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and then, you know, I was struck by how most of her apartment had no rhyme or reason, no real care, but she had this shrine to Scientology crap. So it blew my mind.
It goes deep. It goes very, very
It's
deep.
so-
And she was in it for a long, long time, right?
50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And her sister, who's still alive, I misspoke earlier in one of the videos that I kind of said at the end of their lives, but my aunt is in fact still alive. But she's
Yeah.
she's in her going to be 80 this year. So
Wow.
yeah, but yeah, it's I don't know. It's I'm still processing what it's done to me.
It's peeling an onion. And you know, it's all that's, I find the same thing. It's just, you just keep getting deeper and deeper and stuff just comes up as it does, it's as you, for lack of a better word, it comes up when you can confront it or when you can deal with it. You know, I think that the mind, actually your mind, brain, whatever you want to call it, it protects you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think that is exactly what's happened. And I used to think I was silly because years ago, you know, the first few years after I left, I used to walk home and I had these weird thoughts of a van driving by and a side door opening up and someone dragging me in. And I didn't know where that was coming from. But now, after hearing other stories and stuff and how, and I kind of should have known, because when I was blowing, as they put it, they were showing up at my house, calling me daily, sometimes twice a day.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And literally like shoehorning my door, you know. And it was that my husband was my roommate and our best friend, Catherine, was my roommate. And it was the two of them that played interference for me. Because I was still that girl that wanted to please everybody and didn't want to upset anybody. Now that's not the case, but back then, you know, back then,
180 reversal to Scientology. Anyway,
yeah,
that's awesome.
We got more clips.
Yeah. So the next one here, this is also kind of a short one. It's about 1:30 here. This is just kind of making fun of Scientology and the condition of their van or their RV. Now this is a pretty big was an A-class RV, right?
Yep.
Pretty large. And you guys go over and you notice that they've tried to, but they've failed to remove some graffiti off the back, which is hilarious. So let me go ahead and throw that up and make sure. I think you guys are able to hear this, but let me know if you can't.
This is priceless.
This thing is so ugly.
Yeah. If anybody ever sees this bus anywhere in Toronto at any festival, please get a message to me. I will go out and audit their visits to our festivals and book fairs and so on. I will not miss a chance to confront them with this piece of crap.
You don't mince words.
Somebody has graffiti. You just can't see it until you get close. Somebody has graffiti.
Oh yeah! Look, guys, let me see if I can get in close. I guess they've tried to get it off. There are stuff to get that off. Now off the. Yeah, it is, Ed. On the sidewalk, Ed. Yeah, over.
Cult. There you go. So you guys can see here Cult, big letters,
Oh.
and then behind the ladder here, they've tried to get it off, but they have failed
Yep.
to get that off, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah.
Good find.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
my God.
RV is hilarious.
Yeah, it's so dilapidated looking.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot more eye-catching than their sign. Their
True.
sign is just
Oh, I know,
very
it's
boring.
terrible.
Yeah.
And in
so-
fact, actually, I kind of have that in my shot here. Like, this is an
Oh, there it
ugly.
is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if red is their color or what, but it's very strange to have a Scientology sign. And you look at this from the front, and you can't even tell the org is there, right?
No,
You know
you
what's-
actually have to go right up to the path that goes
Yeah.
into their front door
Yeah.
before. And I would have thought above their front door they would have something to draw the eye, because that's not entirely just Scientology in there. There's two other businesses in there, and there's empty space in the bottom, the very bottom. So either if they own it, they're renting out parts of it, or I have a suspicion, and
They're leasing.
but I think the building is actually owned by a Scientologist.
I don't,
No,
because no, I don't think they can afford that. Not in Canada.
Well, no, like sorry, Kim, just to clarify, you think it's owned by a Scientologist?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, what a song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be.
That's possible.
Yeah.
We can
Let's
always
start a
find that
rumor.
out. Do some super sleuthing.
It's a rumor. It is a rumor. It's speculation entirely.
Presumption and
But
speculation.
the $500,000 tax debt to the city, that's not.
I believe that was paid.
Oh,
I believe that was paid because I was sort of following that one, but
okay. So then I'm correct.
or they're paying it off.
Okay.
Well, I would imagine that if they didn't pay it, they would probably lose the building.
That they would lien it, and
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
they could have the lien indefinitely and just draw interest, and then when the building was sold, then the city would get their money, because they'd have to go a lot of years to accrue enough to take the whole building away from them, right?
Yeah. So and that's like in Vancouver, that building in Vancouver, it's owned, like it's owned by the Vancouver organization. I don't think it's actually it's actually a Sea Org building.
Mm.
I actually think it's very interesting. I would like to find out. It's like I would like to find out if the Sea Org actually owns Cambridge, because all the money that pays for these buildings is from the local parishioners.
Yeah, it's all donations, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting thing, and I've kind of found out some information regarding how they do this with orgs, specifically ones in Europe right now. They buy it through CSI, so CSI itself owns it, especially
And
in these
CSI,
more
remind me?
foreign lands, and they have to
Church
do
of
these
Scientology
weird legal.
International.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Church of Scientology International. They buy the building, and they do this to skirt loopholes in taxes, first of all, but also to protect themselves from potential for the foreign government, so Canada or Europe or wherever, taking control of the building due to any kind of law issues. So if CSI itself owns the building and then rents it out or leases it for free or whatever they choose to do, then the ownership, it's much more protected against any kind of foreign,
Okay, it's
issues.
interesting you're mentioning that, because I was watching something that Jeffrey Augustine was doing the other night, and he was showing the layers of bureaucracy, the layers of the way the structure works. That someone like Miscavige is almost impenetrable.
Yeah.
In the context, like they've made that many layers of different, and he pointed out that there's actually not an actual Sea Org. It falls under something else. So there's no organization in the Scientology organization
That's called the Sea Org. That's correct.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's how they've been skirting around getting served as well. Because they're going, well, there's no official Sea Org. All these people that thought they were part of the Sea Org, in the business structure, it's not in and of itself a place in that business structure.
Yeah, there was a major reconstructing, and I think Blow Drill Dylan Gill actually touched on this when Miscavige got into power. He made sure that everything was like it's very hard to follow the money.
It's almost like a diversification. And it's
Yeah.
the way a lot of businesses, multinational businesses run themselves as well. And that's what makes it a business. This is not a church. This is a business.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. But just getting back to ownership, because that building was purchased back in the 1980s.
It's
There was
81 to be exact.
the
80?
one in
No.
Vancouver, the one
Oh,
in
the one in
Vancouver I'm
Vancouver,
talking
yeah.
about. So there was the Mission, then there was a place on Granville Street, and then there was this one that had to have a lot of renovations that all the staff ended up doing. And when I was on what was called the ad council, so it's like kind of like an executive council that manages the money, there was never a payment for the actual mortgage or anything like that to the Sea Org. And that's why I know that they don't have, that building is owned by, I think, the Church of Scientology of BC, but I can't say if it's them or not, right?
Well,
but it's not, it's like they don't owe any money to the Sea Org.
Yeah, there's something I came across also about the Toronto org, and I haven't been able to pin it down to too many things, but that building wasn't donated but it was given very cheap.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So,
I'm gonna throw a little spoiler alert, guys. It's a scam. Just so you're aware, Scientology and all they do is a scam. Yeah. Sorry to ruin it for everyone, but
I mean, it has to benefit them. It somehow, like, I mean, honestly, most of the money that any of these organizations, these class 5 they don't keep it. They get enough to pay the bills, pay the lights, that kind of stuff, and the rest just like disappears into the ether or wherever the hell it goes. Right?
We've heard stories from various ex-Scientologists of how they would have suitcases full of actual cash. Getting off the ship and going to the various countries in Europe and in the North Africa and just depositing money or paying off officials or whatever. Amazing.
Yeah, Jerry Armstrong told me a few stories when I had him over at my place when we were back in BC. He told me.
Yeah, I'm glad people are keeping in touch with him. His story of the OG stories. His story is the most fascinating, and he's the most fair, truly the most fair games former Scientologist ever.
Yeah, him and Paulette Cooper.
But she wasn't a former,
and she wasn't a Scientologist. Yeah.
No, I mean she investigated by actually going in and taking courses, but not really taking it up.
Yeah, she wasn't a Scientologist though.
Never at all.
She was a journalist, right? So
right. Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
Which makes her worse.
Yeah.
Oh, she was so hated apparently by L. Ron Hubbard. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
I heard it's terrible.
You guys, we're so like going off into the weeds. It's hilarious.
Sorry.
This is hilarious. It's fun though. It's good.
Weeds.
I've learned so much about Scientology in the last 6 months that I ever knew when I was in it.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
There you go. Scientology self real estate pyramid scheme.
Yeah. I won't be surprised if that's what comes out of it all. Because that is their real asset.
That's what's coming out of it all. Yeah. Don't be surprised.
Yeah, their Sea Org members are not their asset. Their public are not their asset. And all those donations, I know there's a bit of a quid pro quo with some of the big donors because they've got a reason to, they got to write stuff off. So it's, it's a nice arrangement for them, I guess.
Yeah.
But, who, when this pyramid falls, who gets to collect this, what's left? I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. Let's carry on.
Let's
get back on track. We can go on tangents later, though, for sure. All right. So this next clip is going to be one of my favorite moments. And it's where you run into a Scientologist at the front door who is so very proud. The proudest that he could ever be proud of. And I think this is
30
great.
years.
Yeah, this is about 3.5
Priceless.
minutes. There's a bit of interaction, so we'll go ahead and throw it up there for you guys, and we'll watch that.
Here he is.
Come talk to me.
You're hungry, Kim.
Come talk to me. Are you a Scientologist? Are you a Scientologist?
Yes, I am.
I used to be a Scientologist. I was a kid in Scientology. My mom is Sheila Warren. My aunt is Loretta Warren. Sheila's dead. Yeah.
40 years.
Yeah, my mom was over 50 years. Over 50 years.
And I'm proud to be a Scientologist.
Well, you're
Okay, let's watch that again.
Oh God. Let's
I
see
will
that.
make a short of this for you, Kim, if you need me to, but
Actually,
yeah, my mom was
Ready for
over
it?
50 years. Over 50
wait
years.
for it.
And I'm
Here
proud
goes.
to be a Scientologist.
Well, you're supporting a cult that hides sexual crimes against children and women.
Oof.
my camera work. I need better camera work.
I was getting dizzy watching it,
No,
honestly.
you're
Little bit.
many people have made comments and suggestions.
Gabrielle saying, Gabrielle from the Escaping the Cultiverse, she says, but you guys are fucking awesome.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah, Scientology is a high control cult, and they will take all your money. They want children. They do their look online, SPTV, YouTube.
Sorry, who are you talking to there, Kim? Is it someone on the street?
I think it's
Or-
somebody who just walked by. And
Okay.
I'm this is my camera problem. I'm to keep in mind, I went out there blind. It was like thrown into a job with no training. You
No
know,
hatting whatsoever.
not at all. Yeah, no.
All right, let's
no
continue.
YouTube hat for me. So,
YouTube, SPTV, lots of content.
actually, no, I'm talking to a Scientologist that I think went by. But that's
Oh.
my thing is I couldn't keep the camera where I was just
Yeah,
I would forget I had the camera, to tell you the truth.
Sorry?
I would forget I had the camera. Right? Because all I wanted to do was actually just engage them.
Yeah. I get it. It's
So much
pretty exciting.
excitement.
How much is enough? When is enough enough? How destitute do you have to be?
yeah. How are your whales feeling about donating all the money to your ideal org that's never happened? Have you ever seen that building lately on Yonge Street?
Oh,
That building on Yonge Street's about to fall down. It's
literally.
an eyesore when everything around it is being gentrified and improved. Your building is a piece of shit. Woo. That was the best body routing location ever. What kind of body routing goes on around here?
Scientology, start being an advocate.
Do you have doubts? Are you sure, L. Ron Hubbard? Yeah. Don't you have doubts? Are you sure L. Ron Hubbard got it right? He might be wrong. Ever thought about that? He's just a guy. He's just a guy. A guy who lied about his past and made shit up. Plagiarized other philosophical ideas.
Oh God.
I can feel it. I can feel it now watching it. It's quite funny.
Yeah. Now, if I do have a suggestion though, if you could tell people what you really think, Kim, that'd be great. Yeah, I think it was very well said, and I will be honest, like being in the situation where you're in the moment, you're emotional, you're dealing with your trauma that's popping up. It's tough to remain on target and concise in what you're trying to say. Like, it is very difficult.
Yeah.
At least for myself, it has been, and I've caught myself many times like stuttering or like not quite saying,
Yeah, I
you know,
flubbed quite a few
what I'm
times.
trying to say, right?
Yeah.
Because it all kind of just goes blah,
Yeah.
you know, and it doesn't necessarily make sense. But you did a really good job of, you know, just staying on topic. So
some people were asking about yelling, and the thing is, if the
You weren't
person's
yelling.
standing in front of me, I'm not going to yell at them.
Right.
Yeah.
But that guy, that's the closest anyone got to us.
Yeah.
The guy going through the front door, everybody else. And that guy, like that, there was the only young person there at the org that day was the guy opening the front door. And if you remember in some of the other videos, we actually went to the back door because that's where they were direct. And there was a guy body routing them, use their term, to the back door.
Yeah, he was escorting them.
Oh, yeah?
Did you notice that? I noticed that right away. He like, they saw you when you first got there.
Oh, they
he was
knew
in
we were
that
coming.
big black truck, and he was getting out of his car, going to every single car that drove in, and obviously briefing them on what was happening, and sometimes even walking them to the back where they were getting let in. So he was some sort of security, or he was DSA or something, and he looked very familiar, and I can't put my finger on him because I spent some time in the Toronto org, right?
Oh, hey, this lady that's up now, LA, I'm trying to reach her. This is Leanne.
Oh.
Do you have an email address?
If she has Messenger, find me in Messenger. Kim MacNeil, Messenger, Facebook.
Okay.
If you
have issues with that, you can email me and I'll forward it to you. IamPTSforlife@gmail.com.
Yeah, and you can give her my phone number and we can text. But she's one of the ladies. She's Leanne. She's one of the lovely ladies that was there. It's great fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
that was great.
Yeah, we figured there was somewhere between 30 and 35 people in total between
Going
staff
in?
and
that's pretty normal for an org in Canada, class 5 for sure.
Yeah.
And actually I guess really worldwide, but you know, these class 5 orgs are pretty small, even though they say there's lots of staff, there really isn't. They're not there, you know. Even today, even at my local org when I audited it, I think there was less staff than last time I was there. Like, there was people missing. A couple of people I think got let in a different door.
You only had 3 that seemed to come for on course today.
On course, but like staff as
Staff
well.
was even compared to maybe I think you're right. Yeah.
I noticed that there was a lot of cars in that parking lot. I think and then there was some other cars around back. So they had some people, but it's not.
Yeah.
You can't say it was bursting at the seams by any stretch of the imagination.
No, and they certainly aren't so busy they need a brand new ideal org. I mean, just like Portland and Seattle. I mean, I went to them. I seen it.
No.
There's nobody there. They don't have the staff and they don't have the public. It's just this big empty building. It's mind-boggling. And this is actually what I told James today when I was talking to him. I said, I was there. Like, they're empty. And it really clicked in his head. Like, you know, he believes me. You know?
That's the guy that's your friend that you guys have a good rapport with.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking for me.
It's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, because I have a couple of friends that are still in, and you know, I've never spoken out like this, so you know, it was safe to be with me or you know, talk to me. It won't
Not
be
anymore.
You know, so
no.
Yeah.
Is there another one, Jeff?
Yes, I do. I have 3 more.
So. Woohoo!
These ones are shorter ones. This is one of my favorite because you guys are taking back the hip hip hooray from the Scientologist. So
that comes from Natalie.
Yeah, this is great. It's only about a minute long.
About the camper earlier in that video, I say, "Look, Natalie, you can take this glamping."
That'd be hilarious.
Natalie Webster, right?
Yeah, Natalie Webster.
Yeah, they camp. Yeah.
All right. Here we go. It's only about a minute long.
Can't see it, Jeff.
Oh, I guess I should probably actually share the screen.
There you go.
Oh, the joys. Oh, the joys. All
Well, at
right.
least
Let's
you can do
let's
it.
try that again.
I'll learn more about YouTube. I'm going to make this a mission. Wow, this has been so rewarding, so healing. Scientology is not my boogeyman no
Three
more.
cheers for Kim. Hip, hip, hooray.
Yeah,
Hip, hip, hooray.
We're
Oh,
taking
sorry.
back the hip hip hooray
Sorry, I didn't think
because
about that.
you guys use it in the most bizarre way. We are taking back the hip hip hooray.
Sorry, I didn't think about
Because
that.
they have those.
No, it's not triggering
Okay.
So they,
because we're owning it.
Top Kim. She's a survivor and an advocate. Hip, hip, hooray. Hip, hip, hooray. And hip, hip, fucking hooray.
My mother was in Scientology for more than 50 years, and her life was no better at the end of her life than it was when I was a little girl. Scientology did nothing to improve my mother. Scientology made her more of what she already was. There was no counseling. There was no life repair. She died in November with estrangement, disconnection from all 4 of her children.
Yeah. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah, it actually makes me well up a little bit to hear it coming out that way. So
Yeah. It's a pretty big deal to be yelling this stuff out like this, you know, when you're talking about earlier about blowing charge, whatever you want to call it. It's releasing trauma and you're
well, yeah,
opening up
who's the target, right? Like it's not those
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
Not really. I mean, they're
Exactly.
guilty by association, but they didn't cause this. It's partly my mother's responsibility, but it's also this bill of goods that someone as vulnerable as my mother was bought into. And
Yeah.
I don't have a target. I'm just yelling it. Like, you know. So,
And that's just what you needed to do at the moment, which is fine.
yeah. I don't know that I'll need to do quite that much yelling in the future. Of course,
Projecting.
yeah,
Kim.
projecting, excuse me, projecting.
I'm not disturbing the peace. I'm projecting.
Yes, yes, officer.
Exactly.
Look it
It's all
up.
about, it's all
Look it up.
marketing.
That's right.
Okay, cool. So this next one here, this one's another short-ish one here. This is when you talk about dropping the box of stuff off from your mom's at their back door. Oh,
But yeah, that's where we dropped off 2 huge boxes of Scientology materials belonging to my mother last November after she died. Yeah, inside that hallway. I was so scared when I went in there that day, and I couldn't figure out why.
you know what?
I don't know why. Oh, well, I do know why now. In the last few months since she's died, a lot of Scientology and Sheila Warren processing been going on. So, yeah, only took me 40 plus years. It's crazy. Oh, look, there's a window out up there. Yeah, I wonder if that wind we had the other day caused that. Yeah.
Squirrel.
Hey guys, come talk to me. Tell me I'm wrong. Scientology doesn't work. Scientology destroys families. Prove me wrong. Scientology doesn't work. Scientology can't use logical thinking.
and yeah, just another powerful release of whatever it is, energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's grief. There is grief for me, grief for my mom, grief for anybody that's sort of been sold this bill of goods.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm grateful I had somehow the instinct to know it was not for me. And, you know, like I was one of those kid Scientologists that literally did, I'm just reading this note. No Scientologist came at the end of her life. No. Actually, I lie. A friend did come, but anybody like a church, a pastoral care, no.
No.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? They actually have a chaplain department that is actually designated to do that kind of stuff. but they don't.
Well, it's weird to me because when Sheldon was little, my son, he had what I was described to me as called a name calling. He was like
Yeah, a
their
naming
version of a
ceremony.
baptism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
naming ceremony. Yeah,
A naming
that's
ceremony,
actually a religious ceremony in Scientology. Yeah.
The guy, Bo Tunisichuk, with the
Yeah.
collar and everything, and
Yeah.
my son's father's family was there. My family was there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen those quite a few
I remember
times.
that too. I actually, as I want to say maybe 10-year-old kind of thing, had a godmother, godfather ceremony
Mhm.
at our local org because I didn't have one. And I'm not sure why we decided to do it. I think, to be honest, I think it was around, because that would line up time-wise. That was around the time when they were getting their tax exemption in the States. And so I actually think they were just doing it just as a show.
Yeah.
formality.
usually.
And I wouldn't think of that when I was a kid, but as an adult, like, yeah, I think that was it. They were just trying to make it seem like it was actually a church. So maybe around that time they were trying to get tax exemption for the Canada, Scientology or BC, but
Yeah, and
I mean they never did.
Yeah, this naming ceremony for Sheldon was actually at Celebrity Center because they had these beautiful. This was a beautiful old Victorian house, and they had these sort of guest rooms,
Mhm.
meeting rooms, and they were beautifully decorated.
Yeah.
So that's where we had, but
And it's not right. They had a CC in Toronto.
They did
Yep.
for, I don't know what year it started. I think it started like 76. I want to say 70. No, it must have been earlier than that. It must have been 74.
It was in the 70s, early 70s.
Yeah.
I heard about that too.
Yeah, I would have been there in 76. I was there.
Huh. I had no idea.
The summer
It
I
was
did it.
staffed.
I did,
Jeff, it was
staffed.
actually staffed.
My aunt was the principal auditor at that time. I don't know if it was class 4, whatever it was. She was a high end for Toronto at that time. She was the bee's knees for auditors.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I had no idea. I mean, I know celebrity centers across the world are closing. You know, the Portland one is closed as far as I know, right? And obviously the Toronto one, and I definitely know that other ones are not doing well. So
yeah.
So a lot of the staff that were at the CC were made to go to the Toronto org.
Yeah, I think that's I might be wrong, but Laura's mother was known as Diane Mulholland then, now Diane Anderson. She was connected with Celebrity Center, and I don't know if she was on staff at Celebrity Center or how it worked, but yeah, she wound up at the org. But there were some things that Celebrity Center couldn't offer either, so they didn't do everything. So if after a point you had to, I think it was only like the basic study manual, HQS, that was really it. At very, very basic stuff. And if you wanted to go past that, you had to go.
Sounds more like it was run like a mission almost.
I would think
but it would
was,
be.
yeah.
I mean, the CCs are feeder lines, right?
Exactly. But also there was auditing going on there because Loretta was auditing people. So
weird.
I met quite a few celebrities when I was there. So.
Oh, really? Do tell.
Okay. Larry Evoy from Edward Bear.
Singer, musician.
Yeah, it's the same. If you Edward Bear, if you look up the band Edward Bear,
okay,
he and his mother were both Scientologists. Billy Newton Davis, Karen. Well, I have a funny. You want to hear a really interesting story?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, my mom was connected to all these people at Celebrity Center through my aunt, and my mom became their housekeeper. And Diane Mulholland worked with Karen Kane, prima ballerina of Canada, and they were on a mission to get Karen Kane into Scientology. And so on Diane Mulholland and Bridget Manning's advice, my mom was recommended as a housekeeper for Karen Kane. So my mom was a mole, basically.
Wow.
And yeah, and the only reason I knew about this at all is because I would go and help my mom. And Karen Kane was lovely, very lovely person to meet. And so my mom, though, put her foot in it it was not, the mission was a fail because my mom was meant to be there and just sort of report back, but not mention Scientology per se. And she inadvertently somehow mentioned Scientology.
Oops.
And oops.
Oh,
But
I messed up.
Yeah, it's amazing that, because when I look at, you can see stuff about Laura's mom and her career.
That's Laura FM she's referring to.
Laura FM, yeah, and her mom, obviously she wasn't going to be prima ballerina, but she had a career as a dancer. It was, and there's stuff online about her in the Royal Ballet School in Toronto and the National Ballet of Canada. It's something else that what people give up for Scientology.
Yeah. It is amazing. It is amazing.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Cool. Well,
Any
we
more
got
clip?
one more clip, and this is going to be specifically kind of referring to at the very end of your video, your mother's passing, I believe. Yeah, I think it's actually less than a minute long here. It's just the end of your video.
That was really good. Oh, okay, so she
At least
engaged with
somebody
you.
engaged with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long have you been in Scientology? My mother was in 50 years and died last November. My mom was Sheila Warren. My aunt is Loretta Warren.
Yeah, auditor to the stars.
Sheila died alone in a hospital without her fellow parishioners to see her body drop off.
Yeah.
Sheila died with all 4 of her children disconnected.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to stop this video now, guys.
Poor guy's locked out of the org there too, having to listen to you.
He's got to listen to me. No, but,
That happened. That happened in Portland. It's pretty funny when it happens.
Yeah. Well, I didn't hear what Eddie said until listening to back. I didn't hear it when I'm yelling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Auditor
Projecting.
to the stars.
Projecting. Actually, as Sharon Serendipity says, here we go. You weren't yelling. You were being aggressively informative.
Yes.
Now, obviously, we don't want to get too deep into your story, Kim, because you and Gabe have a live planned for the 17th of March. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And I definitely recommend everybody join in for that. I think it's going to be a very emotional talk.
Yeah. Trigger warning.
Yeah, for sure. I think,
trigger
man,
warning.
it's so tough dealing with the emotions of this sometimes.
It
Like I said
is.
earlier, I just got listening to this, and even now, I've been dealing with some emotions as well for myself and various things, but it's so painful. And I often ask myself why I'm doing this. Like, what's the point of this channel? And sometimes I feel like not doing it and just moving on. But then I hear stuff like what's happened with you, and reminded what's happened to me and Gabe and all these other people who are hurt by this organization.
Well,
And
that is exactly what's occurred to me.
yeah,
Over the years since I've been out of Scientology, it's been in and out of the news. I've been aware of it. I read Barefaced Messiah and other books about Scientology. I've never read a book about an ex-Scientologist till later. But I mean, I knew it was, I didn't know anything about those various evolutions of tech and the rescinding of clear and the rescinding of, certificates. I knew nothing about that. And I didn't know anything about the whales and that kind of IAS thing. So it was quite something. But I didn't, what struck me is certainly Sheila's. I was looking into, I was already on Erin's channel before my mother died because I knew she was not well. And I actually called her this year on her birthday, or last July on her birthday. It's not something I would normally do.
Oh.
But it felt like something I needed to do. So I'd already sort of been looking into things. And so it was an interesting, so what I got me and has really provoked me is someone like Serge Delmar.
yeah,
When I hear him, I feel it. I know what I feel it for. Laura, Laura FM, her story is heartbreaking. Miriam, they're doing a thing for Miriam tonight. Like,
Yeah.
it's heartbreaking. And though I finally kind of went, oh shit, that's me.
Mm-hmm.
That's me.
It's funny that you say that, because I recorded a podcast with Janice. She's a registered counselor here in Canada, and we've done a show together live on mine, but we have a podcast coming out. And when she does my introduction, you know, she asked me to do like a synopsis of my story so she can read it as an introduction. And when she's reading it out, I'm like, holy shit, that sounds bad. You know?
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's disconnected for me when I think about it. But I'm like, that's really
Yeah, it's a
fucked up.
disassociation.
Oh,
And
Yeah,
that's
it's
what we
really,
do.
really messed up.
Yeah. Completely
So-
compartmentalized Scientology.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've heard from people like, oh, I want to tell my story, but it's not that bad. You know? Oh, sure, I had this and this, but it's not nearly as bad as yours or, you know, various
It's
other
all-
people.
yeah, it's
and I'm
all
like,
bad.
you can't compare yourself.
Yeah, it's all bad.
Because your trauma is your trauma, right? You have to deal with it yourself, and you just have to accept it. And whether it's horrendous or slightly bad, it's still a bad experience, and it needs to be told, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So.
Well, exactly. And then and the thing is, it sounds, based on the folks that are never ins, and of course those that had been in but maybe haven't spoken out yet. This has been very impactful, it seems, to this movement of people who are either under the radar, out not talking, you know, thinking about leaving, or people who've never been in but understand trauma, understand pain, and understand the injustice of what us as kids had to cope with.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. No, I
I'm
agree.
going to tell you guys a really quick story.
Okay.
Very short. So I'm part of this support group, and we're doing a kind of workshop. And I can't give too much detail because it's confidential stuff, right? But there was this woman who had left her religion and was looking for other answers, and we were doing this workshop. This just happened today. You guys are going to just shit when you hear this. So she says, you know, I told my story about being a Scientologist, and then we're doing this other discussion stuff. And then she said that she went to some online self-help group kind of thing. And she holds up a book, and it was L. Ron Hubbard's self-analysis, and I almost shit myself. I went, burn it now.
Mm-hmm.
I just finished it. She says, so I guess I shouldn't read this. I said, burn it. I was just like, my reaction was just like, if I could have jumped through the camera and ripped that book out of her hands, I would have. It was like, how the hell? This is still happening. People are still getting connected to Scientology. She had no idea. Yeah. She was going from one horrible fundamentalist religious kooky group to another crazy, even crazier group. Yeah. I was just like, you should have seen Rachel's what was it? Janice's face. She was like, everybody was just like, oh, it was amazing. But if I wasn't, like, I'm the only Scientologist there in this group.
Yeah.
If I wasn't there, she would have been happily reading this bloody self-analysis book.
And that was one of the first books my mom read besides A History of Man and Dianetics. She had those three in her hands when she went down to the church.
Yeah, it's self-auditing. That's what this is. It's a self-auditing book.
Yeah.
Anyways,
you know, though, I will say self-analysis isn't super damaging, but it's a gateway thing.
I was about to say, yeah.
Because like it's actually fairly innocuous, right?
But
that's the dangerous part of it.
That's the thing, that it's so it makes, there's lists in there, and it tells you to think about a smell or imagine a smell, and it's all these little lists that you go through, and you're basically using therapy on this Scientology therapy on yourself.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Right, but it's a one-sided thing, and I think that's why I have no problem going to counseling when I need it, because or talking to somebody that I trust that can give me good counsel, is they don't tell me what to think. They offer alternatives on how I might approach or think. They don't tell me, oh, you must think this, or that's wrong how you're feeling. What if you tweak it this way? What if you that's how my husband and my best friend, who were university students together, that's how they kind of worked me carefully out of Scientology.
Yeah,
And
you're very, very fortunate that you had
Yes,
people
yes.
that understood. But
Yeah.
like I said, here's this completely vulnerable woman who just left a horrendous cult and a horrendous marriage and all this other stuff. And there she is, and she's getting sucked right back into an. I was just like, I was like, this is, and that's why I told them that, you know, I have a YouTube channel and there are people out there that you guys need to watch this stuff so you don't get into these other crazy cults and do this cult hopping stuff, because a lot of people don't know. They don't know that A, they're in a cult, and B, how the whole mechanism of a cult works. Like, there needs to be a lot of education. Anyways, I'm going to get off my soapbox now.
But also, people seem very determined to have certainty, and it's, you know what, it's a wet paper bag. There's no such thing.
We're also
you got to learn to live without certainty. That is the real challenge.
And that's the hard part when you leave a cult, right? Because you do have, you know exactly what's going on, or, you know, I mean, even though it's all bullshit, but you're very certain about things. But I think we're also in this era where people are sort of, they're looking for answers. Like, you know, after COVID or during COVID, it was rough. There seem to have been a lot of mental health issues that reared their ugly head. So people are looking for answers, and that's where these cults, people can get sucked into these cults. So it really is important that, you know, information gets out there.
Yeah, these last few years have made us all more vulnerable, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. And here we are. I'm now with these, what do they call it? Parasocial relationship with, how many people are out there? Few hundred. I've never met, but I have a parasocial. I've been more social tonight than I ever was in the last 3-4 years.
Yeah. It's pretty cool to have all this stuff happening and connect with people who, you know, like, I get so much support from the community, and for all you guys listening and watching right now and on the replay crew, thank you. Honestly, your messages are invaluable. Like, they mean so much to me. So much to me. So please keep them coming. Yeah, it's really nice to have such a cool group of people who I don't know and yet kind of feel like I know, especially the regulars in the chat, you know, that are
amazing comments, lovely comments from people.
Exactly. Yeah,
they're very,
really,
you know, you
good.
go get them, girl, you got this, you know. It's amazing. It's a nice feeling.
Lots of support, that's for sure.
Cool.
And it's great. It's great to be on with you guys. Like, here we are, like the three amigos of Canada, you know.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
we
just
should
us
get
right
to
now.
some of those starred questions there.
Yeah, we got lots of starred comments and so forth. I will say, before we get into it, maybe I'll have Andrea bring stuff up as we go along, but do make sure you subscribe to each of these folks' channels if you are watching on my channel. And if you want to support any of our channels, Gabrielle has Buy Me a Coffee link in her description. I also do as well. Kim, do you have anything set up for support right now? Or okay,
no.
We'll get you set up. But in the meantime, people should definitely go over to your channel. You have, Kim, you have exploded.
How many
subscribers?
I'm close to 500.
459 subscribers right now, which is amazing. Yeah. So you're almost halfway to 1,000, which is awesome.
And that's inside of a week.
Yeah, I know. Like, I remember when I first started mentioning the protest a few days ago, it was like 119 or something. So that's amazing. And I think you got lots of big stuff planned.
Subscriber number 2.
Yes, that's right. She was.
Were you? Okay. What was I?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I stopped counting at Gabe. I was just
I've been
letting you do it.
subscribed for a while, so cool.
Okay.
Andrea, perhaps if you wouldn't mind, you can lead us through. We can bring up some comments and questions and go from there.
Cool.
Giamba Juice says, you did a great job. I loved watching you come alive. It was very cool, Kim. Thank you for sharing that day with me. Yeah, that was amazing.
You're welcome.
It's neat to be able to share it.
Oh,
More love, Celeste Commodore. I love you so much. Heart, heart. I wish I could have been there. Me too.
Yeah, and it would have. It just felt that the fact that it wasn't just Eddie. I would have pulled it off with just Eddie, but having these others there also was. It really was empowering. So
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was empowering to watch. Natalia XOXO, as a Neverin, hearing you scream. We're going to say, though, what is it? Not screaming. It's
projecting.
projecting. That your mom died alone is so heart-wrenching to me. But that guy seems so unaffected. And that's what you see over again with these Scientologists. It's so creepy. 100% agree with that. It's amazing how compartmentalized they can make this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, for example, today when I mentioned to Larry Dutton, who is your brother-in-law, Gabe.
Yeah.
Or ex-brother-in-law. I said to him, do you miss your kids? And
I saw that today, yeah.
And people listening probably don't know the story behind all this, and we're not going to rehash it right now, but it's horrendous what happened with Gabe's family, his family, and it's currently happening now. And his I love my kids. It's like this complete
flippant.
It's flippant, yeah. It's like it doesn't make any sense, because if you did, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And it's horrible, and that's why I said it to him. I was like, I know that you should be feeling something with this, and you're not going to. And I was right.
Yeah. I mean, he said to his oldest, it would be okay if he actually unalived himself.
Yep. That's his father saying that.
That's his father telling his son, his adult son who has a child.
He loves his kids.
That he loves his kids.
Lies. Pure lies. So, anyway.
Yeah.
Windy City Thetan Watch. As a Neverin and hearing X stories, this evil must be ended. Yes. We shall not harbor child trafficking, elder abuse, family separation, child labor, and fake mental technology.
Oh, yeah. That's
here, here. Hip, hip, hooray to that one.
Hip, hip, hooray.
Here's a question for you, Kim. Ian Nachi, 2006. Kim, what year did you leave Toronto? Or maybe...
I didn't. I've always lived in Toronto, but I've left the church 83, 84. So I have never been back in the church since 83.
Wow.
But I stopped taking their calls. I stopped letting them, shoehorn my door by 84. So.
Awesome. Well done.
That guy was an ex-staff member, just so you know. I know. I'm trying to figure out who this is.
Christina A, a.k.a. Kerf, which is great.
Christina,
apparently she knows you from grade 8.
Me.
What's your email, Gabe?
It's, it's escaping the cultiverse a@gmail.com.
Cool. And I do have a link. If you're watching on my channel, I do have a link in my description for your guys' channel, so you guys can subscribe there or contact them there. And of course, my lovely wife has also sent in the email.
She's on top of it.
So, yeah.
It's strange how it's going on both of ours, eh? Did you notice that, Jeff?
She's tricky that way. Question, little old lady. Mm-hmm. Does anyone know if the Montreal org has much of a pulse, or is it pretty much dead? That's a good question. I don't know. What do you think?
I went to the Montreal org when I was going to the Quebec Ideal org opening, and Montreal is quite small, but they apparently had a building, and they've obviously not moved into it, but there wasn't a whole lot of staff. I think actually Montreal is probably smaller than Vancouver.
Oh, wow. The Quebec org though is ideal, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Now that's a beautiful building.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
That's
Now, they
where I
had a
saw
ruling-
little Miscavige.
They had a ruling recently about minimum wage laws and arrears. So there's that's been settled.
Well, that was in like
So-
2017, I think.
Yeah, it was a
Okay.
while ago. It's really unclear as far as what actually occurred. I'm going to assume that it was past staff members that did this, like ex-staff
Yeah.
members.
Yeah. Oh, obviously, yeah.
Yeah. It was
Um,
$900,000 judgment, I believe.
Right.
I don't know what was actually paid out or whether it was a settlement or whatever, but yeah, it was a pretty big deal.
It was, yeah, I don't know if it was a settlement either. I have a feeling it was, but there's not a lot of information on that,
Yeah.
which is
It's probably
interesting.
NDAs.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I've been looking. So
Kelly Suds, are people visiting missions?
Oh.
Probably not.
because
No.
I plan to audit the mission down on Broadview, this little red and white house.
They're really small.
Yeah.
I would be
Yeah.
be careful with that because if that's a private residence
And some of them are
privately
private
owned, you could actually
residences.
get in trouble for that. So
Yeah, because don't forget, missions are actually what are called franchises. So they're
Yeah.
owned by the Scientologists. So it's kind of different than an org.
yeah, and
So
you,
if I
and you
stood on
technically
the other side of the street and yelled across the street,
Sure.
or projected across the street.
technically though, I think that if you were to be filming into someone's private residence
Right.
from the street, that could
Their
get you in a little bit
blinds
of hot
are
water.
tightly
So.
wound up. There's nothing you cannot see in there. It's like the Fort
Yeah.
Knox of blinds on that. Those.
Well, you know what? Your mileage will vary. You do you, girl.
We'll see. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, here we go.
Amazing Kim.
Amazing Kim. That's your new nickname. Amazing Kim.
Amazing Kim.
When will you go next?
I was thinking I was going to try tomorrow, but I don't really have anyone to go with me. So unless,
Well, there you do right now.
Yeah.
Ian Achi, 2006. I'd love
So
to join
he's
you
an
in
ex-staff member.
oh, is he in Toronto?
Yep.
Oh, he's a Toronto staff member, ex-staff Toronto.
Ex-staff. Yep. Like
Really?
more recent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, depending on our schedule, if he could reach you, and then he can reach me, because I don't have a public email yet.
We'll figure that out for you.
Yeah.
Well, you
so
better get on that, Kim.
Get on it, Kim. Come on, let's go. People need to know this stuff.
Come on,
becoming-
snap and
I'm
pop.
becoming famous.
Meandering Black Sheep, thank you
Oh,
very
look
much
at
for
this.
becoming a YouTube member. And on that note,
Wow.
we just released a members only little Davy video
Oh.
that is absolute gold. And so if you guys want to see that, become a member of my channel, which can be, you can find that link in the description. Really helps me out. Violet L, a consistent viewer. What year were you in Montreal, Gabe?
Oh God, I hate these questions. Because I don't hate the question. I hate my memory when it comes to these kind of questions. I'm trying to remember when the Quebec Ideal Org opened. Maybe 2010.
Yeah, something around there. I mean, it was between 2004 and 2010.
Violet, don't apologize. It's my it's my
Yeah,
bad
don't
memory.
apologize to Gabe.
Don't apologize to me. I'm gonna look it up. Keep going.
Okay, let's go on the next one, Andrea. We'll bring it back. Shirley Best. The Handmaid's Tale is filmed in Paris, Ontario, 15 minutes west of Cambridge, Ontario.
Yep.
Do you think
Oh.
Elizabeth Moss uses Cambridge? Probably not.
Well, hey, Travolta and Kirstie Alley used Vancouver when they were filming those two films.
Yeah, but they
They
probably
used-
weren't OT at that point. I think Elizabeth
Yes, they
Moss
were.
were they?
Yeah,
Oh, well.
yeah.
then
My
maybe.
my husband did OT5 with Kirstie Alley, and that
Hmm.
was way before that.
Well, if she needs to go into an org for some reason, then yes. But I'm going to guess probably not. And one thing about these higher level
God.
celebrities is they have people, Sea Org members, who are assigned to them to take care of what they need to do and to protect them from us suppressive people.
Yes, but that is true though. Travolta and Kirsty were in Vancouver org. They were snuck in through those ugly back doors, and they were on, I believe it was the Key to Life course.
Okay. That's a little bit different. But yeah, I get it. And it was a totally different time too, you know.
And the
I
org was
doubt
still a
nowadays
dump.
they are. Sorry?
The org was still a dump.
It still is. Marty Kingshot. So I think he's referring to the mission, I assume, here.
Mhm.
It's a commercial building at 308 Broadview. Okay. Went to protest it, but it was closed, which is not surprising.
Yeah, I have a feeling it is a defunct location. I don't think a lot of activity goes on there. I don't.
Yeah.
You know.
There's an interesting, there's a building in Victoria that's called, and I don't know if it's a squirrel group or what, the Society of Scientology, or no, Scientology in Society. That I have no idea what it is.
One of the ones I found, independent Scientologists. Yeah, it's a bigger. They're bigger than the real Scientology.
Yeah, yeah. So I might go check them out next time I'm over there, just to see
They
what's
have
up
a
with
lot
it.
of little groups, the independent Scientologists. There's one up in Grand Forks as well.
Yeah.
That was the group that I joined when I got out.
Mm.
Very
Interesting.
briefly. And just going back to the question there about when I was in Quebec,
Yeah.
I was right. 2010. My
There
memory
you
is
go.
not so bad.
That's
Well
not
done.
bad, yeah.
Well
And
done.
it was in January. Quebec in January.
Oh.
So now it's like a triggering event for me. You know how cold it was? Minus 40.
Oh,
That's like
I'm out.
insane.
No
I
thanks.
was so cold. Anyways,
even Toronto doesn't get that much.
I'll tell you, here's a little fun fact. David Miscavige was complaining about how cold it was. What a wimp, eh?
He was freezing his little nuts off.
Yeah.
Wasn't that something in Chicago today where Leah got a bird's eye view? You didn't get
I
to
never
see him
saw
much?
it. I haven't seen it
wound
yet.
up the only one of the crowd. It wound up being a crowd of 50 easy. And they were from
Wow.
all over the Midwest. And then of course
Wow.
Leah and Danny were from LA. And they broke all the rules. Just the way they did in Austin. They just give them an inch, they take the mile.
Yeah.
Same thing in Chicago. It was
Yeah.
a bit of chaos. There was either arrests or threats of arrests. Stuff was still going on when I started setting up for tonight. So I don't know how it all resolved, but Leo managed to run into somebody because I couldn't keep abreast of all the channels. Like, you know,
It's getting crazy, eh?
yeah. And
Yeah.
so I heard from another channel, Leah got a spot on the top of a building, and lo and behold, so they could hear Danny. She could hear Danny way up, like, I don't know, like 12th, 15th, 20th floor. They could hear Danny. So that means that all that yelling has had an effect on the audio. So they'll have to
all
dub
that
it.
projecting, yeah.
So
All that
I got to
projecting.
say this right now. If anybody is watching who is going to go to one of these Ideal Org openings anytime soon, buy an air horn.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
It's
No.
the decibels.
No.
You get-
Listen
They
to
have
me, though.
this-
Listen to me.
Okay.
hang
Listen
on.
to me.
Yeah.
You got to wait till he's on stage and you got to just take that arrest. You hit it a couple times and he will just flip out, and every single Scientologist will look. You will probably get in trouble, but
Yeah.
friggin' do it, because what are you're gonna get like a misdemeanor or something, or a fine. Whatever.
Yeah, because you keep it secret in your bag or
Yeah.
knapsack.
Bring
until
it out only in emergency case where DM's on stage.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
Oh, you guys. Jeff,
Yeah.
you're a bad influence.
I would do
That's
it
what I was gonna say.
in a heartbeat. You know what though, when we were at the UK event, man, I wish I had an air horn
Mhm.
or something, because that would have been amazing, just to go and just like let it off as he was supposed to be opening the qual building and stuff, because we were like 100 feet from all the Scientologists.
Mhm. Now, did you
Anyway.
get
So
to engage
diabolical.
much there? I saw some video of that, but did you?
There was
Did
some
people actually-
engagement. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. With
I
the
reached a lot.
security guys.
I talked to a lot
Oh.
of people.
Mm.
I'm fairly outspoken. I'm
Mhm.
polite, but I'm outspoken, and I talk to a lot of people there, including the OSA guy Graham. Had a good conversation with him, and yelling at Janet and all kinds of Scientologists. I was right at the gate, and they caused so much of a traffic jam that they were stopped next to me. I had little Davy, the little Davy doll right here with me. That's the same one. He was sitting in my jacket, hanging out, and I would bring him out and put him in the face of the Scientologist. It was great. It was great. It was like the best time of my life.
I find it really interesting how you go to the States, like there's not very many staff that will engage. They seem to be more engaging in Canada and the US, except for Toronto. They didn't really say much though, except for that one cuckoo guy.
Was the only one. Everybody
Yeah, he was the only one.
I think it's the proximity, because when I was in Portland, I had tons of engagement.
Yeah,
I talked to the vet. I talked to the that one other lady, and I talked to the dancing cowboy.
Yeah,
and I should play that video as my outro. But you know, like I talked to a lot of people. I just think it's the approach.
Yeah,
You know, you just
when we
got to
went
be nice
around to
about
the
it. Say
back-
hello.
Yeah, when we went around to the back, it was much closer.
Yeah.
Engagement.
Yeah.
They still didn't say anything. In fact, some of them didn't even look in our direction.
yeah.
So
All right. Super
right.
Pop. Love the
Carry
name.
on.
I love that the Canadian community is growing to get the word out. Yes.
yeah,
And
it's
any
great.
other Canadians who want to grow with us, please join us, because
Yeah,
we need
absolutely.
more people.
Yes, we need an
there's a
army.
decent amount of Scientology in Canada that is not being fought against. There's Edmonton, there's Montreal, there's Quebec, there's there's a bunch of
Quebec would
orgs in
be good.
Ontario there.
Now, the Ottawa one, the one that was in the downtown location, that was a really prime, lovely location near University of Ottawa,
Yeah.
no longer. Now the other one's out in the East End,
Interesting.
and it's small. So
Anyway, yeah, if you guys have a story want to tell and want to go protest, let me know. I'll help you out. Michelle and Reese, some of the org staff haven't been informed of the protests yet. That's true. Interestingly, I will mention on that too, the local person who's in charge of dealing with people like me, the has, didn't inform any of the staff that I was doing what I was doing. And so when I went to my first audit of the Vancouver org, they were completely caught off guard, which I think was a big mistake. And that allowed me to have tons of interactions with people without them knowing. I mean, today I got hugged for freaking
Yeah,
the
that was
public should know about me by now. So Andy, if you're listening, watching, dude, talk to me. How about that?
I know.
Andy won't talk to me.
very different when you're going to your own org and you're seeing the people that you know
Actually,
very well.
Yeah. I thought, oh, by the way, I stopped filming and I called out to her, but I think I saw Diane Dobson Smith.
Ooh.
I know her.
She had on the back, if it's her, she had, you know how Catholics and other Christians put these medallions or stickers?
Oh yeah, she would
fish
have the
stickers
church
of-
symbol.
Yeah. There was a Scientology symbol on the back of her car.
I always
Yeah,
wanted one of those.
I was in LA with her when I was training. I got to know her. Her nickname is Doberman.
You mentioned that to me in a conversation by phone. Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember her being like that, but I do. I have fond memories of her husband. If they're still together, I don't know.
I think so. Yeah.
And
They have a couple of kids too.
yeah,
All
I
right.
just remember Jessie, but yeah, but no, she if it was her, she never even turned her head when I.
Oh,
called
she
out.
won't. She's hardcore.
Yeah.
Nasty
Can
too.
they're mentioning that there's
Here's
also
Halifax.
Halifax. Is that an org or a mission?
It was a mission.
Mission, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't bother with missions. It's just not worth it. There's nothing happening with them. They're also small. So PDASC. What can we do to support the cause if we can't come out to protest? Any ideas? Absolutely. I did do a video recently about how to, if you can't protest, to help out the cause, and that's reach out to Congress people, state representatives, if you're in Canada, members of parliament, MLAs, send them information packs on Scientology, send them links,
And
just
your school
communicate.
board.
School board,
school
yeah. If you want to help people out directly, like myself, Gabe, Kim, anyone else in the community, find out where you can donate to them to help them
Mhm.
out. Like, for example, my gimbal screwed up today, which, you know, made your guys' viewing not so good.
It
And now I have to
wasn't
buy a
that
new
bad,
one.
Jeff.
And what's that?
It wasn't that bad.
I know, but all I could see is like this shaky video.
I know.
But you know, stuff like
Wasn't as
that.
bad as Kim's.
No, no.
Well, I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Um,
People
See,
needed-
now that's smart. Health Canada.
There you go. Yeah, people
Yes.
who you feel could
The-
possibly
yeah.
make a difference.
Absolutely. Any officials that were connected, like even when it comes to things like the purification rundown, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that that's being administered to children, I was
Yeah,
16,
that's insane.
That was 17. Yeah, 17.
Yeah.
So
And
Yeah, I
my
was
purpose
in my
for-
early 20s and I got severely sick on
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So
I can speak to my purpose for doing this, and this is to expose Scientology. I don't make a ton of money doing this. In fact, it's actually costing me money for the most part. So any support I can get is appreciated. But regardless of whether I do or not, I'm still going to keep doing it.
yeah,
because
like
there's a reason for it.
yeah,
You know,
for sure. You know, because
So.
I don't, like I mentioned to you before, Jeff, I don't expect, official Scientology to be gone,
yeah,
but it needs to be, to lack of a better description, neutered.
yep, exactly.
So
and it
I have a lot
shouldn't be that hard in Canada. Honestly, it
No.
really
It's-
shouldn't.
yeah, it's already
Yep.
that they were acknowledged in the Toronto District School Board events calendar. That
Well,
that
let
was
me provide a little update on that because we're here and we're talking about it. So I have had several people who have reached out to them and they have sent me the responses, and it's been pretty much the same response back, saying that, to clarify, this is not something that we celebrate. It's just something, it's more of an informative thing. And the response at the end of it was, we will be reviewing the calendar shortly and we'll make updates. And so I'm going to guess within the next few weeks, L. Ron Hubbard Day, or birthday, should say, will be gone. So
yeah.
I will
that's
be
my
keeping
hope.
an eye on that.
Yeah, because the one that got back to me, I emailed. I haven't received any emails back, but the lady who called back worked for my trustee, and she took everything I pointed out, and she kind of said, "Well, it's more for the employees or something." I go, "Well, I don't care who it's for.
Whatever.
What? Yeah.
Like it's not. It shouldn't be any." She says, "Well, it's not posted for everybody." I said, "It's on your website."
No,
Yeah, it
is.
doesn't matter.
It's public.
Yeah,
This is
and
public information, and a public person sent this to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
and I said, when I talked to one of them, they said, "Well, we're going to put you on to the human rights officer." And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
where's this going? Where's this going? I said, human rights. Okay, let's talk about the human rights. Of the
Yeah,
children.
exactly.
Like,
yeah, you want to have a conversation? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's have a live about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, in all honesty, this labor law stuff, that is something that I would be very interested in digging into, because every single org is violating that because of the way that they pay their staff or not pay their staff.
Yep.
No,
In British
to me,
Columbia,
that's a fight worthy of fighting.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In British Columbia, you are not allowed to not get paid minimum wage.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
You can't sign it away. You can't be a religious worker. It's not a thing in BC.
Well, think about what would that be like for a new Canadian or someone who's here, maybe not with all the right papers, and and you're just desperate for a job to make. How the idea that you can work for less or nothing,
Yeah, I mean, I was in a position with somebody who was an immigrant and not wasn't like even a landed immigrant, and we couldn't hire him.
Mm-hmm.
There's some, but that's one thing. It's the minimum wage issue that to me is a big deal.
Yeah, that'll destroy. That'll cripple the org.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
they can't pay it. They wouldn't be able to pay it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Shade Tree Mechanic. How would I figure out if COS having any main events here in Albuquerque? Just would love to know about it. You know what? You have to find out. You could go into the org if they don't know you.
Mhm.
You could infiltrate it, quote unquote. But you just got to find out through people who just find out, like leaks. You know, how I find out is staff members, public members letting me know. Obviously, I can't say who they are or where they're from, but yeah, there's no
There
way
is
to
some
specifically
stuff on the
say how to do that.
websites too. Sometimes they mention things.
Yeah,
And
it's
if you
pretty
go for
rare.
the Sunday service, you might learn something at the Sunday service.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you know that they have their main international events, and the next one that's coming up is the LRH birthday event. So that's got to happen sometime soon.
Yeah.
Because his birthday is on the 13th, so they usually have it after.
It'll likely be on the 16th of March this year. It's just a
Wow,
matter
that
of
really sucks.
where it is.
Yeah,
And where would they have it? Where would they
well,
have it?
in the org. So in
Oh.
Toronto, they would likely have it in the org. Cambridge would have it in their org,
Yeah.
and now, and that is a very, very good time to get out there and protest, because they do all this what's called call-in. They call everybody to come in to this event. It's like a big deal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you're going to get a volume, well, you know, a few more public that will come in. There's not very many anyway. So, but I would suspect like Cambridge would have quite a few people, because they would have their Sea Org members from Hamilton coming in, because they're all at this event, right? I mean, yeah, like
you think
Cambridge
that
is.
the folks in Toronto will go to Cambridge and just forego anything at Toronto?
They have. I do know somebody under the radar that has told me that they do hold their bigger events at the Cambridge org.
Mhm.
So I will find out. Trust me, I do have a source.
That'd be worth
And
driving to get there. I would be worth meeting up there. For
I'd
sure.
be there in a
Yeah.
heartbeat. I'd go
Yeah.
to Costco, and then I would go to the protest.
I got time to make new signs, because as nice as my signs were and all the compliments, I did get some heartfelt, gentle advice. And I took it well. That it was a little bit much.
Much.
Yeah. But I was, so.
That's right. Well, you learn. It's okay. It's a little bit of a learning curve. What's this? Oh,
Let's
boy.
move on. Share serendipity. It was
Yeah.
the stories of family separation that caused me to join the SP movement. First, it broke my heart. Then it got my dander up. Anger face.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Ontario Squirrel, great name. I've had Pearl Snappy say it. Your bravery in coming forward and telling your stories tells us never ends to understand and speak out with facts and receipts. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Agreed. One Love 51,000. Hello, my friends. The critical point is this. Not only what happens in the past, but it's happening now. Thank you for being the voice who cannot speak out. Yeah. I mean, disconnection, all this stuff is happening currently. It's not just historical data. It's not something that happened back in the day. Up until 6 weeks ago,
Yeah.
I was disconnected from my father because of Scientology.
And it's
So-
going to happen tomorrow.
Yep, it'll happen again. Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
And my brother-in-law will stay disconnected from his kids.
despite his quote unquote love,
Yep.
I've said this before and I'll say it again. There is no love in Scientology.
No,
Mm-mm.
everything has been is very conditional, very
Exactly.
transactional. And that my mother was already like that
Right.
as a parent before Scientology, and Scientology just
got
gave
worse.
her a license.
Just to go back to a past topic regarding
Scientology.
Toronto org,
Yeah.
I did receive an email while we're live here regarding that, and apparently they pay $22,000 a rent a month.
Told you.
And it's not owned by a Scientologist. So there you go. 22,000. And this is the thing, guys. These kind of leaks come into me all the time. from
I love
staff
it.
members, from public, like Andy, if you're watching, buddy, there are
Dude.
staff members on your staff that are feeding me information.
Oh,
So
Mm.
he's
keep
gonna
that in
go.
mind,
He's
buddy.
gonna go looking for the mole now.
Well, that's the thing, right?
Great,
But that, like,
Jeff. Now they're all
it,
going to
it
get
could
put
be
on the
true, it
meter.
could be not true. It doesn't matter. They're all under investigation at this point,
Yeah.
right? Because
They're
that's all
always
it
under
takes.
investigation.
It's brutal. Anyway,
Yes.
let's carry on.
Oh my gosh.
Scientology SD, Full Court Press. Hello. I love Canadian SP content. Canada. Nice.
Yay.
Good to have you here, buddy. Are we out of starred comments here? What's going on?
Hey, yeah. What's going
I think
on?
we might be out. Oh my goodness,
wow.
we're out. We're out.
Wait.
Out.
Well, you know what? We are. Oh, here we
I
go.
had to put
Nancy
that up.
Goodbrand. Hello from Abbotsford, BC. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for your
I lived
support.
quite close to you a long time ago. I miss
Yeah,
BC.
I'm not too far away. Not too far away.
Oopsie, sorry.
Cool. Well, I think we're an hour and 36 in here, so we can probably
Yeah, we
wrap
better
up.
shut up.
This has been lovely, guys. I've been calm. I didn't know how I was going to manage this. I had a little technical difficulty before we hooked up, but
It's all good.
yep, I'll figure out my instead of using my phone, I'll finally figure out how to use my camera on my computer. So
It's all a learning process.
yeah.
Kim, do you
Ontario
think they were
Squirrel,
expecting you guys?
do you
Probably.
think they were expecting you?
Oh, no, without a doubt, they knew. But I never made it a secret. I
Yeah.
mentioned it. I mentioned it on a couple of social media sites,
Yeah.
and so I knew. I wanted them to know we were coming. I didn't. Now I might be a little quieter in the future, so they aren't so prepared. But I wanted engagement this first time. I really did.
Yeah. Going to the back might be a better idea, like switching back and
Back
forth.
and forth. Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Because I don't think
And
they
that's
come
kind
through
of
the
what
front
we
door.
did. We kind of
Yeah.
did. We, with the six of us, we were going back and forth. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, you done good.
You
it
done
was-
great.
it was-
I'm very proud of you. I'm so glad that you got to do it. I look forward to future content from you. Everyone in the chat and on the replay crew, please make sure you go to subscribe to both Kim's channel, which is at Scientology_is_my_ruin, and Gabrielle, Escaping the Cultiverse A. Thank you very much for joining us. We will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Love y'all.
Nola, how's it going?
For fuck's sake.
For fuck's sake, she says. What's your post?
Well, what are you doing?
I'm not on staff, that's for sure.
You're definitely filming something.
Anyway, I gotta go because I'm gonna get in shit if I keep talking to you. You know that.
But doesn't that kind of bother you a little bit? That you get in shit for communicating with somebody?